Greetings, all Shardvixen, and today is Sunday, April 15th. And the joke before in the little thing was something my father used to say all the time to me. Believe it or not, it was his way of telling me how ugly I was, I guess. I mean, constantly, all the time. Whenever I saw him, he'd always say, "How's your face doing? Does face hurt?" And I try not to answer the question after a while. First, I mean, there's a part of you that when somebody gets such glee out of something, you kind of want to go along with it. But then there's an age when you realize they're actually making fun of you, and it's not funny anymore. Which was probably really soon for me. Anyway, I'm talking about the Uglies. What is the Uglies? The worst case Uglies I've ever seen. So I've already talked about how people always thought I was ugly, and and I was seen as ugly, and how I fought against that because, I mean, on my bad days, of course, you have bad days, and you believe what other people say, and then you have good days where you struggle with the understanding of why it is. So, as I got older, one of the things I liked to look at was social psychology. Now, social psychology is the study of how, in society, as a group, psychology is done. And even though that's not my area of expertise, it is one that it is heavily on parts of what I did in the past. So one of the things is that, remember the old saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Technically it is, but it is also generated by what society says is beauty. So if your whole peer group decides that these people are beautiful and these people aren't, based on what society says is beautiful, maybe their favorite TV show, their favorite music star, their favorite whatever, then it's kind of hard to break out of that, even if you were beautiful. Like, even if we took you or me and we put me someplace else and I was considered an exotic beauty, it would be hard to get past society's idea and measure of what good beauty is. Now, there's been lots and lots of studies on it. The newest one I found, though, online that I'm going to put in is from 2011, but I've read others in books and article reviews. There was one done in 2015, which is an extension of one that's been going on for a while, in which they have babies look at faces society thinks is beautiful and then faces that they don't, and how babies respond to the happy faces, the different faces. And they found that babies will respond to, quote unquote, society's beauty better, even if that face isn't smiling. So from the get-go, visual beauty is an important thing for most of us. Now, you can override that, and you have preferences. So it's not like 100% of the babies pick the blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman. Okay, it's like probably the way statistics go, probably 80 to 90%. Because for a good research paper, which I will talk about one of these times, 75% and up is an okay number to theorize that the theory that you're talking about is good. Okay, because these are just still theories. I mean, it could change, but beauty does change from culture to culture to culture. So when we think about what each of us specifically like in beauty, it differs. Some people will say they don't look at what a person looks like; they only look past that. But that's a conscious effort. The instinctive part of our brain looks towards images that we find beautiful, which can be compounded on other things, right? The beauty isn't just, oh, I've seen this drop dead gorgeous person and I stop. It can also be, I see this drop dead gorgeous person who happens to be 6'4", who happens to weigh probably a good 200 pounds or so. He's got these huge arms. He had this, and you can, in fine detail, click what it was that you liked about the person on that first glance. And then it'll be how that person made you feel. So for me, it was always a struggle because people were telling me how ugly I was, But yet I kept thinking, I'm not ugly. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You know, I had beautiful hair. I had beautiful eyes. I had beautiful skin. It was a constant struggle to keep my inner voice out and close off the outer voices. When we think about, this, it's really a big deal because they have actually done studies where parents who have one to more, I think it's two to, more children, are more attentive to the babies they find more attractive. I would have thought that, for me this is surprising, because I would have thought that every mother would look at their baby and see their baby as being beautiful. Apparently not. Both my babies were beautiful. I just loved them to death. They were so cute. I just can't imagine. Have I seen ugly babies? I mean, I've seen babies whose faces remind me of little shrinky old men. But that's still cute. I mean, I just can't imagine looking at a baby and not thinking they were cute. Especially your own. I mean, I could see looking at somebody else's baby and going, oh my God, that poor baby, what they're going to grow up to. And I have seen children that you looked at and thought, they're going to have a rough time of it. Which then made me say, oh wait, that's a horrible thought. And I have to ask myself, why? Because there's a standard to beauty. There's a standard eye shape we like. There's a exotic beauties are those that aren't part of our society. Okay, so in the case of me, growing up, mostly white. My brother was blonde. My mother was more like dark hair like me, and so was my father. My grandmother was dark hair like me. So dark hair for me is probably more is more normal. And then blondes, because there were a lot of redheads in the family, solid blondes would be considered exotic. Okay, solid blondes with darker skin would be really exotic. People of African American descent would be considered exotic, and people of like Japanese, Chinese, Korean, the Philippines would be more exotic. And then I didn't grow up with a whole lot of Middle Western, Middle Eastern, that whole central North American Native American population, who tend to look a tad bit different than some of the East Coast and West Coast Native American descendants. But again, that would be considered exotic to me. So the exotic beauties are the ones that you might have fond wishes for. Like, I've talked before the kind of men that I'm attracted to, but some of the exotic looks for me are the redheads. The darker skin, not the white, not like white, like pink white, not like my skin tone, but more darker and red hair. That's an exotic. And so eye colors, there's exotic eye colors. So when you talk about that, so exotic beauty is that beauty that's outside the realm of the stereotypical beauty. And those are the ones that we consider and look at and put up high. A lot of believe it or not, your movie stars are not exotics. They are more typically the trend for the average beauty. So when we talk about uglies, and having the worst case of uglies in my life, the sad part for me was by the time I got to be 18, I kind of figured out that I was already different. I knew that. And then people perceived me different, so I knew that. But I had this beautiful little face. And then I got the rosacea started. So once I came into my own and was able to hold my head up high and say, screw y'all, I'm beautiful no matter what, I started to get really... And I've had it worse than this. I've had it where my whole face is encrusted in just red and white. Red and white. No blue. And really wanting to hide your face, like behind a more beautiful face. Because people are making first impressions. People are And, you know, I have heard people say, if people really like you, they'd look past it. That's probably true. But what my experience has been, now this could be because I'm mentally ill too, is that I meet more males who find this urge to hurt me because they think that they're the last ditch effort for me. Like, oh, I'm going out with you. No one else will go out with you. You should be happy that I'm going out with you, so I get to treat you like shit. In which I would say, screw you, dudes. I'd rather be alone and happy than with you and be miserable. But most people don't do that. Most people, they go, oh my God, you are such a saint for loving me, and I'm going to stay with you even though you're going to hurt me forever. And that's a lot of what happens in abuse. You know, you look at the men, and some of the men are considered very beautiful and charmers and assholes. And some are not. And you're like, why would this person stay with this person? What is the purpose? Now, from male-oriented to female-oriented hormones. Males are very visual, most of them. I might say all of them because can never generalize and can never say anything is 100%. But let's say of the studies, 80% of the males out there are look at females. And there has been studies that beauty distracts males from whatever they're supposed to do. I have that going on. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to edit that well. I've just learned, as a off the top thing, I've just learned how to put my things together. I'm not yet really good at trimming yet. And I'm using DaVinci, in case anybody wants to know, by Blackmagic. So far, the easiest out there for my cognitive fog to catch on, and I don't get bored. So I don't remember what I was talking about. I know I was talking about uglies and beauty. Oh, men. So men have actually, studies show, become very distracted when there's a beautiful person that they think is beautiful around. They are less likely to pay attention to what they're doing. And they get more irritable and more likely to puff out and want to do the instinctive male thing. This is mine. I want it. You can't have it. Kind of thing. And they all start kind of, competing. Men compete. Very interesting. Women, on the other hand, not all women. Okay, so if you're of the female hormones or the female persuasion, or you identify that way, okay, this is all about what you identify and how your brain works, are more apt to be interested in male power and character and control. Where do they stand in that aspect? And I think if we look back into our tribal existence, so far away, that makes perfect sense. You're not really going to want the beautiful man if he can't take care of you and keep other people from hurting you. So it really is about that, because women can take care of themselves, don't get me wrong. But instinctively, when we're pregnant or at vulnerable periods of time in our life, we want to make sure we have that buffer in front of all those other people out there, including other women. So the problem is then you lace society into that instinctiveness, and then you get all these other things, the gender stuff that goes on, the stereotypes, everything gets all mucked into one big, and then it's hard to decipher. So another theory is that some people are outside of a circle because they don't fit in the circle, which makes sense. But I mean, they don't fit in the circles. Like, so me, I don't fit in the circle because I don't trigger men to want to fight over me, and I don't trigger women to want to compete with me. Okay, though I've had women compete with me, but for the strangest people. I mean, like, I have no interest in this guy, and the bunch of us are all sitting around, and everyone starts competing with each other to indicate that they are the one he wants. And I'm like going, let's play some video games, man. So there could be that aspect of people perceiving me and me projecting. Like, I could care less. You're not in my realm, so I'm not going to care. I have caught myself within a circle of people going out and seeing somebody and really interested in that person and like zoning in on that person and wanting to get to know that person and wanting to find out that person has the same feelings for me. The problem I have is that I find that a lot of people don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to come out and say, you know what, I really don't want to go out with you. Yes, I would like to go out with you. Or they lie to themselves even while they're giving you off signals that say, yeah, come over and talk to me, man. So, I always find that interesting too. But let's talk about uglies again. So, if you're cursed, if your life has been cursed by people telling you you're ugly, okay, from their perspective and society's perspective, that might be true. I mean, that's it. People out there think I'm ugly. But on the same token, because that's not all of the people, and each person has their own brain fart, brain freeze. Ooh. All right, so I don't remember what I was talking about, so we'll skip it. We'll skip it. You'll be like, oh my God, she was on a rant, and then she forgot what she was saying, and I don't want to go back and look at it because editing is hard for me right now. So these vlogs will get better when editing isn't so hard. So what was I saying? If you're on the out and somebody's looking at you, you know, it's hard to get people, because instinctively your body responds to stimuli it finds attractive. And then it doesn't, your conscious mind might go, because society also impedes on you, that that person is not pretty. That person is not beautiful. That person isn't the person that you want. I'm going to put in the article. It's just one of many, and you can probably look up other stuff. And the thing is that I think that's most important is that we as society have the ability to change. We don't think so, but we do. We have the ability to change the way people perceive beauty. It is hard, because the people that decide it, of course, are the 75% of the society that agree. So you have to make a major shift. You have to get other people to agree what beauty is. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I mean, I think I've never really met an ugly person. I mean, and I'm not talking below the skin. I'm talking physically. I have never met a really ugly person. It was once, in the Middle Ages, they would kill people that were ugly. Literally, they would throw things at them, and they would, they didn't want them around. Ugly people were bad. I don't know how many of them were actually good looking, but, in their standards of time, ugly is back. That's where the story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame comes from. He is so hideous that no one wants him around, and then he hides out. So, if we were truly ugly, if I was truly ugly, I'm thinking that they would have damaged me even worse than they had. The sad thing is that I kind of had that whole Hunchback Notre Dame thing going on, because people would, peers would attack me and tell me how ugly I was. And the most important thing to them was I agreed. And I don't know, I mean, psychologically I understand why that is, because that's the group and you have to agree with the group. But it also is kind of like, that's how you make people like you, is get them to agree with what you agree with. That's how torture works. That's how evil people get people to do things they want them to do, by making them part of their evil plans. So, do I think I'm ugly? No. Do I wear the mask because I'm ugly? No. I wear the mask because I know that the perception out there for the way my face looks, would be one thing. Also, the mask is part of Shardvixen, so I wear that because I'm also Shardvixen, and because there are secrets I'm still holding that I can't let go. And if people knew who I was, then they'd be fearful that I'm letting go their secrets. That has to do with being a therapist in training. So, down the road, the mask might come off and you'll see Eliza. But for now, Grammy, Shardvixen is what you get. Alright, I'm out of here. I'll catch y'all later.